Hey y'all, so today we're going to be talking about 10 plus things that you need to do before the school year starts, and whether that be online or hybrid classes. So if you're new here, my name is Cheyenne. I am going to be a senior. I have done this college thing for 3 years, and these tips that I'm about to share with you really helped me in my college career. So I'm happy to pass down some of these things that really helped me, and hopefully you can start your year right. Now, I just want to put out a quick disclaimer. You do not have to do any of these things. They just helped me personally. So what works for me might work for you, but it might not. And some of these things are still things that I'm personally working on before the school year starts again, but I, again, wanted to share. So let's get started. So my first tip is to organize your storage. I feel like this is such a big one.
You know that in your Google Drive, you have a document that was a quick essay write-up, a little answering a question, and it just sits there. What is the reason? I don't know.
So definitely just go through your Google Drive, delete anything unnecessary, or condense some things. Also, I have decided to use Google Drive for my school things and OneDrive for any professional things like internships, work, cover letters, and stuff like that. So it's easy to distinguish the two. So maybe you can look into getting a OneDrive account or a Google Drive account if you don't have those, and maybe separating the two will also work really well for you. My second one is a hack that I learned, I believe it was sophomore year, and it is to create a playlist specifically for starting school again. It's just music that uplifts you, that gets you out in the morning, that you can play during your morning routine. Like I used to have a hype playlist for like when we're about to go out, just any playlist for any mood. And I know it's 2020, but I still think it's so important to have like a little playlist that you just put on in the morning while you're getting ready, so you have one less thing to worry about. And something that I love about music is that oftentimes we can connect songs to certain experiences. So for example, if you're a freshman entering college and you have these certain songs that you play, like in about a couple of years or maybe even just months, those songs will take you back to when you first went to college, all the new experiences and how you felt. So I think creating a playlist is something so underrated and something so small but so important. I highly recommend. Okay, the third tip is simple, but it is so effective. So I highly recommend putting your class schedule in your Google Calendar, in your iCal, in whatever platform you use. Put your schedule in it and make sure to do this before class.
I know sometimes like I take a week and I'm like, who cares?
No, do it right away. And very important, like put the room number. Now I know some of our classes are online, but some of you guys have hybrid schedules where you do go to certain classes. So definitely make sure to put the building number and the room number. This has saved me so many times. I definitely recommend putting in notifications, so you get like a notification like your class starts in 30 minutes, in 15 minutes. I always do this, and it is so important, especially during online classes, because I don't know what day it is, I don't know what time it is. So it is so important to have like, oh, class starts in 30 minutes. And to go along with the last point, I highly recommend you guys check out Google Keep. Google Keep is like a note-taking app, and I was like,
I have the notes app on my phone, like what is the difference?
In Google Calendar, they have a little section where they have Keep, and you can just see all your notes and then you can implement that right into your calendar. Tip number 5 is to check out your university resources. So I'm specifically talking about LinkedIn Learning. With my university, we get free accounts, and I didn't even know for the longest time. And I found that a lot of .edu addresses and a lot of universities do offer this service for free. One course that I really recommend you to take is the time management course, because I suck at time management. So that course really kind of opened my eyes and gave me some new techniques that I could try and implement into my daily life. So I highly recommend like just scouring LinkedIn Learning if it is free for your university, or seeing what kind of resources your university gives out for free and using those in those 4 years, because they're expensive. And they're free right now, so might as well. My next tip I actually learned while I was in creative advertising class, and it is to have a creative journal. Now, a lot of my classmates knew about this and I had no idea what was going on. So basically it's just a journal. This one, well, these like, they're really great because they have like this flap, and I kind of like made my own inspiring covers. And this, I would say, I think it's between $2.50 and $5. I don't think, it's definitely less than $5. So whenever you have some kind of idea, you just write it down. I know a lot of people like actually like journal and look up journal prompts. You can do that with that. Or like, for example, I wrote about why I like the word honey so much, and it's really beneficial because it's time that you spend with yourself, on yourself. My next tip has always been good, but during this time, it is especially important, and that is to have a nice desk setup. I feel like you spend a lot of time at your desk.
Or you should. Sometimes, your bed acts as your desk because we're lazy sometimes.
But overall, you should have a nice desk setup, something that is perfect for you and that inspires you to start working. I feel like especially as freshmen, we're like,
oh my god, I need all these cute things on my desk and I want it to be like Pinterest and everything.
But honestly, minimalism is really great. It helps you declutter your headspace. You have less to worry about, and just create something that works for you, that is functional, that you like to be at this desk. Especially during online school now, I found that I've spent so much time at this desk, so I want to make sure that it is just how I like it, that there's enough space, that everything is organized. So definitely just think of some desk setups, maybe look some up, and get inspired, get creative, get excited for the school year again. So I highly recommend doing that. So my next point is morning routines. We spoke about it just a couple minutes ago, but I think looking up different morning routines and seeing how people spend their mornings and how you can spend your morning is very important. Something that really helped me was the Miracle Morning. It's a morning routine basically where you just focus on yourself first. And I'm not gonna say that I'm perfect at the Miracle Morning because I'm really not.
Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm busy, but am I really?
So I definitely recommend reading the Miracle Morning and looking up some morning routines and just seeing what fits for you. And I'm not saying that you have to have one figured out, but maybe if you look at other people's morning routines, you can draw inspiration and it can help you with your own. The next tip is something I've actually discovered a couple weeks ago, and it was really stressed by some industry professionals. So what I was told is to really look up like industries that I want to work for, and look up job titles and look up descriptions and look at some of the verbiage, look at what these companies are looking for, and try to apply what you see online to your life and making yourself more marketable once you graduate. The next thing is something I have recently learned, and this is more for the people who are more down the line in college, and it is to look for informationals. Informationals are basically interview style. They don't have to be, they can be more casual, but where you meet with an industry professional and you just kind of ask them about their path or certain questions that you want answered and how they have overcome certain things, how they got to the point where they are, and they basically just share their knowledge with you. Definitely over the summer, I recommend looking for people who are in the industry that you want to be. If you're like further into college and you kind of know what you want to do, or you think you have an idea.
I mean, you don't have to. I was undeclared for the longest.
If you are a freshman, I do recommend looking at different industries and just like seeing what people, maybe you can start off with alumni from your school, like what kind of jobs they have, what their path was, and just really doing that. And by the time you get more further into your college career, you can actually set up informationals, reach out to these people, try to see if you guys have connections somehow through LinkedIn, like you can see who they're connected to. Look if they're alumni from your school, if you're in a certain program, see if they are in it, or if somebody can introduce you or something. So just looking for informationals is something that has taken me a long time to do. Now it is something that is more further down the line, but you can also apply it to a freshman with just being general. So my next tip is kind of varies by industry, but for me in advertising, polishing up your LinkedIn is so important.
So for the longest time, you guys, I didn't even have a profile picture on my LinkedIn. I didn't even have a headshot, like a proper nice headshot. I mean, my friend just took it for me, but like a nice one. I didn't have that until March of this year. So I'm definitely not pressuring you guys to get a headshot, get your LinkedIn in order.
But just like keeping, like update your LinkedIn and just write little descriptions for what you've done, because your LinkedIn is kind of similar to your resume, and I think they go hand in hand, so you can actually work on both at the same time. And LinkedIn is so important in my industry and in connecting to people. So when you do connect, you want to have something that shows what you've done, even if you don't have a lot of experience. It doesn't matter, just show what you've done, what you're proud of. Okay, this one is one I really did heavily when going into freshman year, and that is looking up new recipes. Now, college can get really busy, so looking up recipes, something quick, easy, is really good. And I would also write down your staples, or maybe just think about like your staple food, because I meal prep and sometimes I just run out of ideas. So it's good to, if you are more skilled at cooking, like looking up recipes, looking up new things to try. And if you're not as skilled, maybe just like really focusing in on what you can do and slowly expanding.
I'm not saying that it has to be like Pinterest, because Pinterest recipes, I have failed at so many of them, but you know, now it's summer, now it's a fun time to try those out, and maybe something will stick with you that's perfect for meal prepping.
So my next tip is looking up what kind of technology you will be using, and specifically if you need an iPad for school or not. I think this question has been so big. It was a question that I had going into freshman year, but when I went into freshman year, they only had the Pro line, and I could not afford the Pro line. But now they have the regular iPad line compatible with Apple Pencils, and I have the iPad 7th generation. I have the 6th generation. They both work the same. I'll link a video down below where I talked about why, or if you need an iPad for school. So I highly recommend checking that out, because if you're maybe an RTF, you like photography, you're a videographer, you're in computer science, your needs will be different. So looking at the iPad versus iPad Pro, MacBook Air versus MacBook Pro. And if you guys have any questions on that, definitely let me know down below and I can film a video. So my last but not least tip is to download productive apps. I think I really enjoy doing this before the school year starts.
So I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready, you know, I'm preparing.
But I highly recommend that, especially for the iPad. There are some amazing productivity apps that I use every day. And also like getting apps on your phone could also really help. For example, like Google Calendar. I also really recommend like using GoodNotes if you do handwrite your notes, because it does sync to your phone. So if your iPad dies, for example, you can still type on your phone. That has happened to me a few times. So I definitely recommend downloading some productivity apps. It's always gotten me kind of excited for school. And if you want to know some of the productivity apps that I love, let me know down below and I can film a video on that, and especially for the iPad, because I know a lot of people are considering getting one for college. Also, I don't want to force technology on you. I know that technology is very expensive, and during my freshman year I just had like a 5-subject notebook, and I would just use that. And I found that with my lack of organizational style when it comes to that department and keeping like my papers sorted, I do think that the iPad has helped me tremendously, and I did have to save up for it, you guys. I didn't even during the holidays it was $250, but I definitely had to save up for it. I had to save up for my Apple Pencil. So I'm not discounting the fact that technology is very expensive, and I would recommend you guys, if you can go a semester with just handwriting notes and maybe using a laptop, any type of laptop that you have, and if it works for you, great. If you feel the need to upgrade or change your routine, I definitely recommend doing some research. And again, I didn't go to school with my iPad already in hand, and I think it kind of enriched the experience when I did have my iPad, because I knew the differences and I knew the value. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope those tips really helped you guys. Some of the tips I'm still working on myself. I'm not perfect. I'm not telling you this is what you have to do by the end of the summer. Not at all. These are just some recommendations to help you transition, to get you excited to start the school year again. And make sure, if you like the video, to like and subscribe, and let me know anything down below, any questions you guys have. I am happy to answer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.